Welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie, and we are two crazy cousins talking about another pillar of a relationship, trust.
So obviously last week we talked about communication, which is one of the big pillars of relationships. So now this week we're moving on to the next, which is trust. Obviously these are in no particular order. We're just hitting them how we feel.
That, and it felt like it made the most sense because trust, you learn it through communication to some degree. So
Yes.
It's like the next level of communication.
You can't really have good communication if you don't really trust, and vice versa.
I was going to say vice versa. You read my mind, Rietta. So weird.
So weird. I mean, are we related or something?
No.
So where should we begin? Which part of trust? I mean, there's so much that kind of goes into it.
I think we should talk about how it relates to communication and then build from there.
I'm down with that.
So, we left off last episode with communication, and a lot of your trust is built with communication, communicating how you feel to a person. It builds your trust. Talking is a building block of trust. You don't just automatically trust somebody. You have to communicate with them. You have to be vulnerable, tell your significant other or other people that you want to trust how you feel, not necessarily all at once, but a little at a time maybe.
Yeah, and for certain people, like I know I had to with my husband, you have to tear down those walls. Some people have very protective walls up, and you have to earn the right to get on the other side.
Oh, definitely. And you have to earn that trust to know that he's not going to look down on you, and you're not going to look down on him for whatever those emotional barriers are.
No judgments.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way, especially because in our family is a lot. And you don't really, I believe, this is how I feel about our family, that you don't really talk about real shit necessarily. You just kind of talk about the niceties and get over it. You don't really share necessarily how you feel. You might. I do with my mom. I'm sure you do with your mom, but
I do.
But all of aunts and uncles, I'm not contacting whomever and saying, I really feel sad today. I feel really vulnerable. We're not really that kind of a family, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And I think that does come down to trust. I don't trust them to not blabber it to everybody else.
Yeah.
If I wanted everybody to know.
All you have to do is tell one person.
Right. I would willingly tell them all at the same time or whatever. But when I tell one person, and if I only wanted to stay with that one person, it's not going to happen. I was going to
say, there's no such thing in our family as confident. You can't be a confidant in our family. And I think we only trust our mothers, probably.
And grandma.
Yeah. Well, grandma, not so much anymore, because she doesn't have a filter these days.
She doesn't, and
it's
kind of a good thing.
If you tell her, oh, this is a secret, I don't want you to tell anybody, she can forget that part. And it's not like she's doing it on purpose. So you either just tell her or you don't.
I honestly don't even think I tell my mom a lot of stuff, but there's definitely certain things that I don't even tell her. Because I think it's just natural for them to turn to each other as siblings and
say, look at that.
And tell each other, like, oh, Rietta called me the other day and said she hasn't been feeling well, just as an example. And then she's looking to her sister for advice. And then it goes to the next sister. And then it goes to the next sister. And before I know it, like, next week, grandma's like, are you feeling okay? And I'm like, how the frick do you know?
Right. Yeah, that's basically 100% true.
Which kind of also is a perfect example that because there is a lack of trust that it won't get around, that the communication in our family is kind of subpar.
Iffy. It's iffy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a game of telephone where at the end it comes out something completely different, and it's like that's not what I said at all. Thank you for confirming with me. I definitely didn't say that.
Yeah, and in the process, because it did change like telephone, then somebody's feelings are hurt, and it becomes this big snowball mess, and you're like, oh my God, this is why I don't tell anybody.
I don't think I've ever heard from any of the aunts when there's gossip like that? Because that's what you would call it, is basically
It is.
gossip when it's telephone like that and it changes. And I've never heard somebody say that their feelings weren't eventually hurt.
Pretty much.
That's all you hear from our aunts is, you hurt my feelings. And it's like, I didn't mean to, and that's not what I said. Maybe you should come to me directly next time.
So that is a perfect example of communication and trust. If you want the real scoop, get it straight from the horse's mouth. And don't believe the gossip that is circulating, because all it's going to do is cause communication problems. And then you're not going to trust that person anymore because you're going off of this big crazy loop instead of just getting it straight from them, and then people get hurt. And it's not necessary and it snowballs.
Well, another thing about trust, though, is if our aunts or whomever really trusted us, it wouldn't be an issue in the first place. It wouldn't have gotten to, oh, my feelings are hurt.
No, that's true. Well, and I feel like everybody's oversensitive, but that's just my opinion.
Oh, no, that's really true. No, because I even catch myself being oversensitive, and I'm sure Tom would say, yeah, you can be oversensitive sometimes.
Well, and I think everybody can to an extent. There are certain things that just hit you harder than others, and then you take it a little harder than you probably should. So I think everybody has their moments of being oversensitive. I think our family is just amplified.
I think it's amplified because you hear it so many times, because you hear maybe the same story from each aunt, maybe even a little bit more dramatized. That definitely doesn't hurt. The drama factor really doesn't hurt for people to be sensitive about it.
Right. And again, it all goes back to trust. There's not a trust between everybody.
Yep.
Like, I don't trust you not to take this. I don't trust you to tell this story right. I don't trust you to do whatever. So it causes a lot of issues.
So I looked up in our research how to build trust. What are the 7 pillars to build trust? And one is say what you mean what you say. And our family is very, very bad about that. And by the way, this was from Psychology Today. Want to just put that in there so that somebody doesn't say, so somebody doesn't say, wow, she has a lot of original thought. And that really wasn't me. It was a little bit of background research. And as our family, we don't necessarily say what we mean. I mean, sometimes people hold back how they really feel. And sometimes not. It just depends on which aunt you're dealing with, or uncle, or cousin.
Uncle. It's just
called being a straight shooter.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's just one of the reasons we don't all necessarily have the greatest relationships.
We're not perfect, that's for sure, but who
is? We're not total messes. I mean, I think everybody has a messy portion of their family. It's just
the gossip can get really messy in our family, but in the end of the day, though, we still all love each other. Just because we're some gossipy bitches doesn't mean we don't love each other.
That's what happens when you get that many people together and stuff starts circulating and people get pissed off.
And the other problem is nobody goes and says, hey, that's not right. You're telling this wrong. That's not the correct version at all. Nobody disagrees necessarily. Like, you might find out later that wasn't necessarily the truth, but nobody's coming out and said, hey, did so-and-so talk to you? You do realize they were wrong, because it didn't hurt their feelings enough to do that.
Right.
You'd have to be really upset to then go and call all of our family members and say, hey, if you heard this, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to be super upset, and it's not normally something that bad.
Right. One thing that used to always upset me about one of our aunts is she always preached the line, respect your elders. And she wanted me to respect her just because she was older. And yes, you should respect your elders. It shouldn't also just work that way, because if you're going to be rude to me, but then expect me to respect you just because you're older than me, that's not how any of this works. You're not going to be rude to me, and then I'm going to turn around and be like, yes, ma'am, and think that it's all going to be okay, because that is not how it works. And I think that also plays into the trust factor, because if you don't respect me, then I'm not going to respect you, and then we're not going to trust each other.
RESPECT. Sorry, what? But yes, no, that definitely does play a role to trusting somebody.
I think so. That to me is a really good example. Just you're asking me to respect you just because you're older, but then you're going to be mean to me. So that just doesn't go together.
Yeah, pretty much. And I get it. You want us to respect you because you are our aunt, but maybe not, don't turn around and be a bitch. Then maybe I'll respect you.
Right. That was pretty much the point. I have no problem respecting you because you are older, because you're teaching me things, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me like crap.
And go
because of it. Yeah. Yes. And turn around and dish out some nasty and think that I'm just going to be like, okay. I mean, when I was 10,
don't expect me to just sit here and take your nasty attitude. I'll just walk away is really what I do. I don't know if that's a strength trait or not, but whenever I get into an argument or somebody's just being nasty, I walk away because I'm not dealing with it. And there's no point in arguing.
I definitely do now. I think when I was younger, before you knew, when you were like 10 or 11, you would just go to mom and be like, Mom, so-and-so is being mean to me.
Yeah, that's basically what happened, yes. And it's not even that. You kind of were just like sitting there like, whoa, what's going on? Why are you being mean in some cases? It's like, wait, what's going on? We were just talking, having a good time. All of a sudden it turned like 180. I don't know what's going on. Is mainly how I feel about our family. It's like, wait a minute. We were having a normal conversation and 0.1 second ago, it turned 180. What the hell?
I had to laugh at Christmas time. Obviously not this Christmas. It was last Christmas when I was home. A couple of the aunts and me and Grandma were sitting on the couch together. And we were having, like you said, a really nice conversation. It was great. And then somehow it turned into this nasty conversation. And it kept, you know how everybody repeats themselves over and over again. And Grandma, bless her heart, was like, so, how about those Christmas cookies?
I love it.
And then she kept trying to do that every like couple minutes. She'd be like, hey, why don't we go to the movies next week? Like just trying to interject like
anything,
totally random stuff
like,
to just
please
get them to stop.
Yes.
Without saying like, please stop. And I'm just laughing. And then the two aunts are getting mad. Like, why are you laughing? I'm like, do you not hear Grandma right now?
Mm-hmm.
I got up and walked away eventually because Grandma was trying to get it to change and it wasn't happening and there was alcohol involved and I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. We tried.
Bye.
A for effort. Bye. So that's
why we do family in short doses. But bringing it back to relationships, it's still important in any relationship, whether you're talking about family or a significant other. And also, really similar to communication, you build trust also by actions and by communications as well. Like we already went over a little bit, actions we talked about previously, texting people where they're at. You don't have to, if you don't trust them, that's an issue.
Oh, it's definitely an issue. I can't count the number of times that I've had a friend that'll call me and be like, you will not believe what I found on my boyfriend's phone or my husband's phone. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, why are you looking at your husband's phone? I don't touch my husband's phone because I trust him. And it's not my phone. He works from it. He does his work. I'm not going to take it. I have no reason to snoop. He's never given me a reason to snoop. It's not my business. So when people call me and say that, I'm like, why were you snooping through your husband's phone? I'm really confused.
Well, and then a little bit different but similar to you guys is me and Tom know each other's passwords to our phones. And because all the time, because it looks just like a black screen sitting up, you can't really tell whose phone is who. So I'll just open it and like, oh shit, I was supposed to take a picture. Well, looks like I'm taking a picture with Tom's phone. Like, who cares? Yeah. It either has to be one way or the other, where you either really just respect each other's privacy or you also just have access to everything, which at this point means you have access to everything, basically.
I think I have his password too. I'm pretty sure I do. But it doesn't matter. I have no reason to use it. I just feel like that is just the starting point of something that could get really bad. If you're having to look through your significant other's phone to feel comfort or to make sure nothing's there, then that's just the start of a very slippery slope.
Oh, for sure. And I don't think that that's necessarily the end of the relationship or the end of the world. I think then you just need to have some communication, build it back up your trust, because clearly you've lost trust in your partner, and you need to then build it back up to where you don't have any doubt. Sure. And then even if you do have doubt, you need to give your partner the benefit of the doubt, even if you need to like talk about your doubts or your issues, etc. But that also goes to being vulnerable and opening up to another person to gain trust as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we all have our insecure moments. There was a moment, I want to say a couple weeks ago, that Kyle was getting a bunch of texts from a number he didn't have saved in his phone. And I was like, why are you getting all these texts from this number you don't have saved? Like, who is this person? Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, it's a guy that I used to work with that got my number from somebody to ask me some questions. And he showed me. He's like, see, look. And I didn't even want to see. It was just more curiosity, if anything. Like, why don't you have this number saved? Like, don't you get confused on who it is? And he was like, I honestly do not remember who it is.
Like, I can't even put a name to it at this point.
He's like, I just know it was one of my Marines from SOI. I don't know who it is because they just keep calling me bro. And yeah.
Nice.
But that's just the point of, all I had to do is ask him and say, hey, why don't you have this number saved? What's up with that? And he just tells me, oh, it's just a Marine. Yeah, so it's just an example of being open and honest, asking the questions that you want to ask and not being like, oh, I shouldn't ask that question because then they're going to think this about me. Just ask the frickin' question and get the frickin' answer that you want to calm your mind.
Yeah, instead of freaking out about it, because then you're going to get stressed, and stress will lead to getting coronavirus and dying. Just kidding.
You had to throw a coronavirus joke in there.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh. I'll be here all week.
Oh, my goodness. I just know that I have those moments. We're just going to keep going like that didn't even happen.
Rihanna can't even acknowledge that it was a good joke. A really lame good joke.
Anyway. I just know that I have those moments, and I don't want people to think that they're alone or that you don't have those moments where your brain goes to the worst case scenario. Especially from somebody like me who has panic disorder, my brain does go to those places. I'll see something and all of a sudden I'm 10 steps to the left and just totally freaking out about it. But if I talk to Kyle and I tell him like, hey, this is what's happening in my brain right now, and this is why, so that he understands why, or at least kind of understands why, because it's hard to understand when you don't have panic yourself. But then he explains to me why my crazy 10-step ahead thoughts don't make any sense. He's like, yeah, that could happen if this, and this happened first. But let's focus on where we are right now. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, basically.
So we all have those moments where you just need to be reassured, basically. That doesn't really necessarily do anything to do with trust. You just need somebody to say, hey, you're way out in left field. Let me reel you back in.
Yeah, and it's just being upfront.
Yeah.
And, that helps
being honest.
Doubt. Yeah, being honest, building that trust. And even when I was researching this topic, it basically said that trust is one of the ways you get a rock solid foundation for a relationship.
Yes, I concur.
Well, because you're honestly, though, without trust, though, think of how psychotic women would be in general. Because you'd be like, oh my God, what's he doing? What's going on? You'd never have a moment of peace, honestly.
No, you could. I wouldn't.
We would all be in a general panic.
We'd all be in a what do you call it? A mental ward.
Yes. I know something's going on.
Well, that was another point that Connie wrote down, like basically giving your spouse or significant other, whatever, the benefit of the doubt unless they've proven otherwise. Yeah. You just have to, you married them, you're dating them, you're whatever with them, living with them. You're obviously devoting your life to them. So the very least you do. Yeah, is to trust them and know that they're not going to hurt you or break your heart or go behind your back unless they give you a reason to think otherwise.
Yeah. And then if something does happen and that trust is broken, it's not broken forever. You can fix it again. You can be more open, talk more, communicate better, and prove that you are trustworthy. It won't happen overnight, but it'll happen.
You have to be willing to put the work in. I think a lot of people
is in general is.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people, though, sometimes once something happens, they're like, forget this, I'm out. And I don't know about you, Connie, but I don't believe in that saying once a cheater, always a cheater. I think people can learn from their mistakes and they can get better. Yes, some people will not learn. Yes, some people will always be stuck in their ways, but there are a lot of good in people, and I think they can learn.
And sometimes a mistake is just a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can gain back that trust. I just don't want anybody to believe that their relationship is absolutely worthless, because that could be the case, but more likely it could not be the case.
Right. I mean, you went through all that. You've known your significant other for how long? You're married, you're dating, you put all these years in. I don't feel like all those years should be X'd out from one mistake.
Yes. Because that's not really how life works normally. Like if you're, because I know some people do have that ideology, but if you're thinking of other areas of your life, that doesn't happen anywhere else. That doesn't happen with our family, or else we would have no family left. We would be talking to nobody right now. Our family we would be incommunicado if that was the case.
Yes, we would. We would for sure. I mean, obviously you don't want to stay with somebody that is a repeat offender, that keeps hurting you, that keeps misusing your trust. But I do believe you should be able to give them a chance at least once, depending on the situation. Obviously, you need to feel it out yourself, see how you feel about it. But your marriage or your relationship should be worth the work to reinvest in it.
Absolutely. Any relationship, really. But definitely one with your significant other, partner, or what have you.
Everybody has their rough spots. Kyle and I went through our own rough spot. This life is hard. Military life is hard. Not to say that life in general isn't hard, because life in general is hard too. But I mean, being separated, being away from each other. We literally had a scammer that not only tried to steal our money, but tried to break our marriage up, which is crazy. I mean, these scammers are crazy. But you have
for sure.
You have to work through it and fight through it and determine if it's worth it or not. And, we both sat down together and said, this is worth it. We need to work on this and figure out what the issue is and get our way through it. Because, I mean, it happens. It happens to everybody. If anybody ever tells you that they've never had a issue in their relationship or their marriage or whatever, they're full of crap. I don't believe them.
I definitely wouldn't either, because pretty much life is an issue. So get yourself some tissues. I'm really witty today, guys.
What is going on over there? It must be the quarantine. Connie's got all the wit stuck in her head.
Yes, exactly. I have all that coronavirus. It's all stuck up there.
Oh, my Lord.
Good thing I'm coming to you guys remote. Just kidding. Totally kidding. Don't have anything. I don't want anybody to come over to my house. Yes, thank God.
Don't go anywhere near Connie.
I would prefer that, yes. Tell everybody else to stay away. That'd be great.
Trust your significant other not to have coronavirus.
Oh, you know what Tom said to me about this, actually, though? We were laying in bed, and we were going to go to this small get-together with some friends, and he said, if I come home with coronavirus after this party, I'm going to lick your eyeballs. I was like, that's very gross. Let me go to bed now, please.
Of all the places that he could have said to lick, it had to be the eyeballs. That's so gross.
100%, I'm going to get it because he got it. Like, that's exactly... He's like, we are in this together, do or die.
That is really gross. And that would also be Kyle's worst fear, because you can't touch his eyes. I don't know if you're a Friends fan, right? You like Friends?
I've seen some episodes, not all, but...
Okay, to all my Friends people out there, if you remember the episode where Rachel had to get drops put in her eyes and Monica was trying to do it and she kept quickly moving out of the way and screaming, that's my husband.
Oh, really?
Mine is the screaming. He doesn't scream. but you are not allowed to touch his eyes at all. So if Tom said that to my husband, he literally probably would have shuddered and ran away.
Like, no. Oh.
That's my worst nightmare. No.
Yeah, basically. Actually, I do have friends that would think me putting in contacts, they were fascinated and horrified at it all at the same time because you basically touch your eyeball. I'm like, well, you know.
Oh, yeah, my husband can't watch me when I take mine in and out every night. He's like, no, I'm not looking. Like,
that's gross.
I'm like, it's not that bad. Watch. And he's like, oh, God, don't do it.
They're like, too late, torture. See, just because we're talking about, trust and communication, loving one another, doesn't mean you can't have fun with the other person. You can joke as well. Maybe that'll be like next week's pillar. Make sure you have fun.
Yeah.
Because you were just taking us writing down step by step. Point 1, communication. Point 2, trust. And only taking that and is like, this is all I need. I don't need to have fun. Then I feel bad for you. And there's definitely more than just these two. We're just talking about them and what's going on in our lives and how we convey our trust and communications with our significant others.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got. Yep. No, yeah, I mean, I think Kyle and I too, because we started dating when we were so young, the trust kind of went up and down. Because when you were 17 or 18, like, you're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. We're in love. It's like a scene from Disney. All the birds around me are singing. And then you break up for the first time, and you're like, F you. I hate you. I don't trust you. You're never coming back. And as you become an adult, trust starts to look totally different. It's not just about coming and going, and it's not so black and white. Yeah.
Same, because you're right, totally, because we dated when I was 19 and he was 20 something. And so then it was like, I'm here taking your word for it, whatever. Then I was in college. I was just like, no, it's fine. Even thought of like trust and like all these complicated issues that we're talking about because I have a boyfriend. I see him on the weekends. He's working during the weekdays. Like no thoughts of cheating or anything bad ever popped into my mind. I was like, it's great. I'm a college student. I didn't have as many worries and fears as I do now as an adult. So it definitely changes.
Oh, to be young again.
Yes, pretty much. Like thinking back on it, I was like, I didn't give a fuck is pretty much what my thought is. Like I was just like, I'm just happy I'm here. We're cool.
I think too, because I was in an abusive relationship before Kyle, that I felt even better when I was dating him because I was like, finally, this is somebody who is actually treating me properly, who trusts me, who doesn't think every time that I don't answer my phone that I must be off fucking somebody else and constantly accusing me of things, that it was just so refreshing. And I was like, oh, this is what a normal relationship looks like.
I guess all like the Shanks just have a bunch of these complicated type relationships.
Well, I was young and dumb. I didn't marry one, so.
Oh, well, I was talking about our other cousin. Because she had a couple of complicated relationships.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, she was still pretty young, too. I mean, that's when you learn.
Exactly.
And sometimes it seems so great at the beginning, and you think this relationship is going to be awesome, and then it's like this dark storm cloud. It's like Eeyore again. The dark storm cloud comes rolling in, and it just goes to hell, and you're like, how the flip did I get here? And how the hell do I get out of this?
Yeah. And for me, it was more like when me and Tom were first dating, like I think we dated about a year. And then it was me being like impressionable and young, where everybody was telling me like, oh, he's just like your father. He's going to do the same shit to you. He's just like your dad. And I believed it. When it's coming from your mom and you're 20, you totally end up believing it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So then I broke up with him, and that lasted a week because I realized she's wrong. He's not my father.
Yeah. No, I went through that same thing too. When I was dating Kyle, my best friend was like, he's changing you. You're not the same person. You're turning into this totally different person, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, I just wasn't partying and drinking as much anymore. And it was upsetting her. And I did the same thing. And I'm like, well, she's right. I should break up with him. And then a week later, I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Why am I letting somebody else dictate my life?
Oh, to be young again.
Oh, yes, to be young again.
Well, and also that's just that just gets back to trust. We were both relatively new in our relationship, and we didn't really know better. We didn't give the benefit of the doubt, and we didn't really think it through. We just had other people telling us what to do, and we were so young that we're like, yeah, they know better than us. You're assuming that somebody knows better than you.
Yep.
And maybe sometimes they do. In our case, they did not, because I definitely don't want somebody who is young and impressionable when somebody's telling you, dude, this guy should definitely not be hitting you. I definitely don't want you to stay with that person. But if it's something like our issues, think about it. Think critically. Don't think about what other people are telling you to think. We've talked about this before. We had sheep.
Yeah.
Don't be a little sheep and listen to everything everybody says.
Yeah, don't be a sheep and sleep on it. It really does have value to it. So sleep on it.
I like those pro and con lists. Those are my favorite. I have to think about it, weigh it out. I mean, not necessarily in a relationship. I mean, a little bit, but
well, it just depends on how your mind works. Like,
yeah,
you have more of a mind that wants to see it and look at the difference. Yeah. So if you're that type of person, absolutely make a pro and con list. And just to bounce back to the abusive relationships really quick, if you are in an abusive relationship or feel that you might be, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to help you, or just a family member. I know it's easier said than done to get out, but your life is too short and you can't stay in something that isn't healthy, where there is no trust and you're getting blamed for things and things are getting abusive or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Please reach out to somebody, even if it's us. We won't tell anybody. Your information will stay confidential. It's just if you wanted somebody that doesn't even know you. Yeah, has an ear, doesn't know you. Connie and I would be more than happy to.
Or you could even be unsure about it. I mean, I know abusive relationship people say that it should be black and white, but it really isn't, because sometimes it just happens so gradually. You don't it's like, how did I get here? What happened? And sometimes it's not really clear. Sometimes it can be very clear and sometimes not so much. So if you need confirmation too.
Yeah, or if you're just afraid. I know I was afraid for a long time. You're afraid that if you try to get out, it'll get even worse, or something really bad will happen. And it's just, it's a scary thing to think about. I mean, you're already afraid, and then you're afraid that if you make a certain move that things might escalate even worse. That's a hard place to be, and that's absolutely lack of trust. There is absolutely no trust there, that if you can't even trust to walk away without being injured, then you absolutely need to exit out of that relationship.
100%.
Okay, we don't want to stay on that dark topic. Just wanted to throw that out there, that if you need help, we will help you.
Just like other previous episodes where we stated the same thing.
Yeah, we're all about, helping. We're obviously doing this podcast to help, and we're big time helpers.
And just to chat and be funny. At least me. I'm really enjoying my jokes this week.
We try to be funny anyway. We think we're funny.
I definitely think I'm funny, and I for sure know that I'm not, and it's great.
It's all right. I think I'm funny too, but Kyle tells me I am funny, but I don't know if he's just appeasing me or if he really means it.
Hey, do you trust that he means it? I'm just kidding.
That's a good one. I do trust that he means it, because he laughs at me all the time.
I know. Tom laughs at me too. I don't know if it's at me or with me, but whatever.
Little column A, little column B.
Exactly. It's fine.
So, Connie, you need to talk about your other little pinpoint here about your taking risks together.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting when I was looking this up on Psychology Today. It's not anything bad risk taking, but it's more like go on a fun vacation, take an adventure, do something you've never done before, try something you've never done before. And you're doing it with another person, so that's building your trust in them. Like, say if it was going to somewhere exotic, you know that you can get through the language barriers and that type of thing with this other person. So in a way, it builds your trust, which I thought was very interesting. Makes me just want to go on vacation, honestly. Or like it also made me think of skydiving. I was like, so I'm supposed to go skydiving? Like Tom really wants to, and I'm like, I don't know. And it's just been out of my budget for a while, but
it's a big thing to do it here because you get to see the whole island. So skydiving is really
cool.
big here. I personally
see pictures, Rietta. Come on, go skydiving.
Well, I don't even like flying for one.
So and that's definitely not happening.
And then jump out of an airplane, I think that's going to be a big no for me. But I do go hiking, and people think a lot of the hikes I do are kind of crazy. That definitely builds trust between my husband and I because it's, I've got you. Yes, and if I don't got you, we're dead. So
yeah. I was gonna say because some of those cliffs or whatever I've seen you on are pretty high, pretty steep trails. There's not really anything easy about a lot of the hikes I've been seeing. So
yeah, one of the last ones
we were on. Hang gliding or whatever, where you climb to the top and then go down.
That I might do because it's not as high and. I don't know. The wind's kind of gotcha. It's still kind of scary, but that I might do. I would maybe.
You're welcome.
Do that.
You're welcome for that idea because that just sounds like something awesome to do in Hawaii. I don't know if it's a thing, but it is. But it's cool.
They do. What else do they do? They do parasurfing. Where you've got the. What do you call that?
The parasail behind the boat. Is that the one that you're thinking
about?
No,
not behind a boat. You're using the wind. That's why it's parasurfing. And there's the big umbrella. It's not an umbrella. Parachute. There we go. It's a big parachute that captures air and then it pulls you surfing.
Oh, that's different. I think I saw somebody to do that on Lake Michigan. So,
they probably I think it's windy enough out there. All you need is wind.
Yes, but the waves, so small. And then he ended up pretty much on sand, doing it on the sand. It was very interesting.
Yeah, you should see the crazy surfers here, especially because it's wintertime right now. So the big swells are coming in. And I think it was right before Christmas is when the 50-footers were coming in for the Pipe Masters. So those people are crazy. There's no way. I do not trust the waves enough.
No. Yeah. That's a risk. I mean, especially because you would be relatively a new surfer versus somebody who's seasoned. I think that there's a difference between that.
If you are a brand new surfer, do not go in 50-footers. But I'm pretty sure that's a pretty well-known fact. You start in the baby waves.
Yeah, as you should.
So take risks, but know your limits. Know your limits, people.
Why? I don't understand. Why must I know my limits? Come on.
At least with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely been challenging myself with the hikes too. Not only just learning to trust other people, but trusting myself that I can do it. That I can be sure-footed and to trust my body to be able to do it. And it's fun.
I'd love to go on any of the hikes that you've gone on. They all look like fun. And you're just going to say, and that's why you need to visit me. And I'm going to say, yeah, I know, but you don't have any money. I can have all that conversation for the two of us.
Well, flights are really cheap right now, so.
Yeah, let me work on that.
Last I looked, round trip tickets were like $320.
Hey, that's how much I got mine and Tom's ticket for Vegas.
Yeah,
that's my one trip this year. Sorry.
Fine. Vegas. Somebody else will come visit me.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm just a killjoy.
You are a killjoy. What am I going to do with you?
Nothing.
My list went away of what we're supposed to be talking about. There it is.
It's okay.
I think we covered most of it.
Yeah, we really have.
Yeah, basically just the only thing that we didn't really touch on, but we kind of did, was the giving and receiving trust and not being one-sided, which we basically touched on. We just didn't say it out loud.
Yeah, you would hope that people would know. I hope that our listeners know trust is not one-sided. Just like a relationship is not one-sided, it needs to be both ways with trust and communication. You definitely don't want somebody holding anything back, because then it's a one-sided relationship and that's no fun.
No, that wouldn't be any fun. And then you're also, you're giving, 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 and they're not giving anything back to you, and it just becomes exhausting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's emotionally exhausting.
You have to have trust on both sides and be giving back and forth, and not even just trust, giving back and forth. You just have to give back and forth in general.
Yeah, that's what a relationship is give and take.
Give and take.
And we know all about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the relationship is a series of ups and downs. It's never a straight line and it's never perfect all the time. And if you believe that, then you've been watching too many romantic comedies.
As much as we love the rom-coms, because I love me some rom-coms, but they're just not how it goes.
I have love-hate relationships with rom-coms.
Depends on what one. Some of them do show both sides.
It just depends. Like, some of them I'm like, you're too cheesy, too even like. You're just, you're just too much, too adorable. I can't handle it. I need some hilarious humor in there for me to really like it. It can't just be all like, oh, aren't you just so cute?
I think actually that is part of the problem of why people give up on relationships so fast. They have this unrealistic expectation of it to be like these romantic comedies or these romantic movies, and it's just, life just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I have the unrealistic expectation for my life to be an action movie, so I'm really gonna have to work on it.
I mean, my life could almost be an action movie if I had a drone following me around while I hiked and stuff. It might be an action movie.
It could turn into one really quickly. I mean, your husband is a Marine. Anytime. It could happen at any time. He'll be taking you along for a spy adventure, and then you're going to build trust on that because it's going to be a spontaneous spy adventure. Yay! I brought it back. We're good.
Yay! So, Fox, if you're listening, or what else? What else makes movies? Come on, I can't think right now. Whoever makes movies out there that wants to make a movie about a romantic hiker meeting a Marine, please let me know.
Well, we're down to write the story, play the actresses. No one's going to watch it, but it'll be great.
Hey, I'm a writer, so I actually know what I'm doing for the most part, I think. Kind of.
So you can make it a spy adventure?
Yeah. Action, adventure, rom-com, all in one.
It's so many things that you can't even just give it one genre.
It would appeal to all the populations.
Exactly, and make buco bucks.
All right, Fox, hook it up.
Universal.
There you go.
Ones. Universal, Disney.
Is MGM still around?
I have no idea. It's probably owned by somebody else. It's like, I don't know, whatever.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's great.
We covered our bases. I actually got an email not too long ago about being on a reality series for military wives, and I was like, no. I am not going to have somebody follow me around and scrutinize every move I make. No, thank you.
That's hilarious. Do you know somebody saw a picture of me and Grandma together and said that we should be on a reality family game show? And I was like, no. It was like one that Jamie Foxx is doing, I think.
I would be down to do Family Feud because I love Steve Harvey, and Family Feud would be awesome.
I am not into it, and I'm like, no, it's fine. I was like, no, I'm not. I think I replied back, I'm like, my 91-year-old grandma isn't going anywhere.
Well, we could win $20,000 on Family Feud.
Yeah, sure. I don't think I'd be good at it. I've never really watched Family Feud. You guys
I love Family Feud.
No, I'm not.
I just want to hug Steve Harvey because he's hilarious.
He's something.
I like him.
I really don't know Steve Harvey all that well, except for the big teeth.
I mean, obviously, I don't know him either. This is just going off of TV.
Well, I know, I haven't really seen him on TV. I've not watched the things that he has been on TV-wise.
The only thing I watch is Family Feud, but that's because it's awesome.
Yeah, and I am not about game shows. Sorry, people.
Grandma would be hilarious at that.
She'd be hilarious at anything because she's 91, adorable, and says whatever she thinks.
She's not 91 yet. She's got all the way to
90.
December.
She's 90. I don't know why I was thinking 91.
Don't age her. Not yet.
Well, we've been saying that our whole lives to not age grandma, pretty much. So.
That's true. I have to laugh, though. The last time we were traveling, people always get a kick out of kids, so they always try to, talk to Jackson. Where are you going? What are you doing? How old are you? What grade are you in? All that kind of stuff. And he'll tell them. And they'll be, they were always do that. Well, how old do you think I am? I'm old. And he'd always be like, you're not old. My great-grandma's 90.
I love it. That's so great. I love that he knows. He's like.
And then all the people would be like, oh, no, I guess we're not old compared to that. But it's just funny because it, took their humor out of what they were trying to do. Because he totally just smashed it.
Because they were trying to be funny. And he's like, you're not. Boom.
He's like, 90, no, you're not. My great-grandma's 90, so suck it.
Actually, I called Grandma and asked her, if she needed anything because I was going out shopping, and 90-year-old, you definitely should not be fighting shoppers. And she was like, oh my God, you're so nice. No, I got everything. I'm like, are you sure though? You sure you have everything? I feel like her, normally when we go, her kitchen is so sparse. I'm like, because she doesn't eat much.
She doesn't.
Little ladies. She doesn't eat much, but I just kind of want to give her more food. Just eat more. Stay alive.
Everybody's always taking her out. My mom takes her out on Thursday. Grandma and Peter go on Saturday. She always has leftovers. Your mom brings her food, so.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just making sure because she definitely
that's nice.
Grocery shopping.
No.
And then I guess right after she called Mom and was like, your daughter's just so wonderful. She's like, it was the one thing I did all right. And I was like, yep, it's true.
No, it's good because I saw people fighting over stuff in the store the other day and taking things from older people. And I'm like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yep. That's pretty much what I thought when I went grocery shopping is you should be ashamed. Also, the fact that everybody's taking the stuff that's bad for you, all the carbs and processed food and bullshit like that, I'm like, you guys are gross. You shouldn't be eating half of that junk. That stuff's bad for you. That's worse for your immune system. And then there's me just getting the stuff for fresh soup. I'm not eating canned stuff. I'll make a big batch of frozen soup, freeze it, rather than buy some cans.
Well, for whatever reason, people thinking the world is ending, even though it's not. But whatever.
And that's fine.
That's the lessons of the day. Be nice to old people.
Yes.
Don't take things out of old people's hands. They're the ones that have things to actually be worried about, not you.
And last but not least, trust. Trust your partner, trust your family, how to build that trust.
Except not our family. Don't trust our family.
Hey, I am your family. Do you trust me? No.
I do trust you. Just not others so much.
That's because I don't break trust. Well, okay, not Tom. My brothers would probably say different, but.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
Right.
I'm Rhea.
Trust and honesty and communication.
Yay,
the end.